Hey dumplings, it's Dave Desai. We have a pretty emotional video and Jin actually came out and talked about the military. I have some thoughts on that. I will get into the speech and his words. I also wanted to talk about a more funny Jung Kook ghost moment. So, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumplings, taste spilling mug merch, and let's get into it. I'm very curious on what everyone's standpoint is on ghosts and things like that are. I definitely was not a believer in that, but I also tend to think it can't be a coincidence that it's millions of people making up stories to get attention. Because at this point in everyone's life, you either believe it or you don't, and the majority of people don't. So saying you saw a ghost or an out-of-world experience won't be believed by many. You'll seem crazy, and so there's no point in lying about those encounters. With that said, Jung Kook apparently had one of those encounters. If you aren't aware, BTS recently released their collector's edition Proof album. This album itself is an anthology, and not only just musically, but there's interviews and moments that might be older that maybe was not published ever. In one of the magazines, an ARMY leaked out a snippet of a story that Jung Kook told and experienced. Jung Kook talked about his ghost experience, and this might give you goosebumps. So the story was translated from Korean to English, so as always, there could be some translation errors. But I believe Jung Kook was at a hotel. He described the place as the place, not home, so it probably wasn't his house. But apparently Jung Kook was alone in the shower and saw a pale thing between his legs. Obviously this wouldn't be his shadow, and then I guess when Jung Kook turned around, he noticed the pale figure and he said that he saw him go to the front area. So apparently walking out the bathroom door and then to the front of the house. He listened and didn't really hear anything. He actually thought it was Suga because Suga is allegedly very pale, and when Jung Kook finished washing his hair, he went out to check and didn't see anyone there. The story went viral, and even the BuzzFeed Ghost team talked about this and said that they had Jung Kook's back and would love to look into it for him. I actually don't know if they still work for BuzzFeed. But this of course is so funny, and I love this story, real or not. Do I personally believe this is real? I don't know. I think souls and stuff exist, and if you were a soul or a formerly deceased person, why would you haunt non-famous people? I would make it a thing to only go and see famous people. However, seeing the famous person while the famous person is showering is quite rude. Wait until they finish showering. But also, on the other hand, there's many reasons for this. If this was actually a hotel, typically hotel bathrooms don't have windows, so this won't really apply, but it could have been a moving light going out the door, or more likely it actually could have been Suga, and the reason why Jung Kook didn't hear anything was because the shower was on. And if Suga wanted to prank Jung Kook, then Suga would probably have not made much noise when exiting the place. Also, maybe he felt ashamed that he accidentally walked in on Jung Kook showering, so he ran out without making a sound. It also seemed very much like a BTS member thing to do, which is prank each other. I think all the members are quite emotional around this time because it's not even that they won't be a full group for a while due to the service, but they won't even be able to see Jin that much or each other as each of them eventually get onto the military camp. And who knows which position they will be, so they may not ever even run into each other. Jin actually did sort of make an appearance and talk about the service. It's refreshing to see the members actually talk about the thing that is on everyone's mind. We often see so many headlines about things going on, and the members never actually speak on it or give their reaction. If it's big enough, the label will just give their statement, and then we just assume the members have the same thoughts. So what happened? Let me give some context and backstory here. J-Hope was recently invited to the Mama Awards. This is a huge award show in Korea, and his album Jack in the Box definitely deserves to be nominated for an award. We got to see J-Hope literally slay the red carpet and absolutely look so stunning in the photos there. J-Hope was of course going to be interviewed on the carpet, and people asked what he thought about being there alone. It's quite strange to see just one member on the carpet without the others either trailing behind or right by each other's side. I also imagine doing interviews and things like this are a bit more awkward and weird because you typically can rely on the other members to bring the energy in or bring in the jokes if you're not feeling it that day. But if you're solo, you have to be on. There's a lot of pressure there. J-Hope added that he felt strange and awkward. J-Hope even mentioned that for his performance, he wanted to make sure everything seemed large. It can definitely be a bit jarring and awkward for some ARMYs to see J-Hope on stage, but constantly feel like there is something missing because where are the other members? J-Hope mentioned he didn't want his performance to feel empty, which is such an incredible perspective to be able to see what the audience might see, even though it may not make sense to you. If you're performing and giving it your all, you may not feel like it's empty, but knowing that perhaps ARMYs will think that is so cool. When J-Hope did an award for his amazing song, he made sure to introduce himself as J-Hope of BTS. He did not want his name not associated with BTS. I mean, this is very rare. I think a lot of artists who pursue solo stuff or simply go solo will introduce themselves as just their name. They start to begin this process of rebranding, and they don't want to be associated with the band name. If Harry Styles still introduced himself as part of One Direction, you would see him as One Direction member, not just himself. But J-Hope wants you to see him as BTS member. J-Hope also began to talk about how BTS and ARMY were really the two driving forces for his solo stuff and the driving forces behind winning the award. He talked about how both the members and ARMY were the ones that showed him the most support, and this is very true. When you're late at home going through all the music and wondering if it's even good, which is something every artist struggles with, you turn to your members or FaceTime them and ask them, hey, what do you think? You'll hear opinions and probably a lot of support to get rid of any doubt or imposter syndrome you may have. Definitely a very emotional moment, and J-Hope has talked about how much this album and body of work means to him, so for him to win, I doubt this is a small thing in his head. It's actually validation that people actually enjoy this style and his more raw self. Of course, J-Hope didn't want to take center stage and leave. He wanted to invite a member to talk, and that was Jin. Jin couldn't physically show up. He may be preparing for the military service. He may not even have hair anymore. He may not even be at home anymore. We don't know. J-Hope put Jin on speaker and let everyone hear what Jin had to say. J-Hope told Jin that J-Hope was giving his acceptance speech and asked Jin to say something to ARMY that misses him. Jin reassured how thankful he is for ARMY. He talked about how well each member has been doing and how much he loves them. Jin continued to ask ARMY and everyone to stay warm, and then he dropped the bomb that everyone has been scared of. Jin said that he will not be making any public appearances for a while, so basically no music for a while, but he will come back with music soon. So of course you don't hear a message like that with your favorite band and not be shattered by it, but it's currently what seems to be happening. I do find it interesting how in history of K-pop idols going to the military, BTS or specifically Jin has been the most documented and talked about. Every K-pop idol that has military service seems to just go silently. Like the band will take a break and they will go on vacation or whatever, and then without a word, one of the members just files to enlist, and then we don't hear from the group for a little bit. And then suddenly we hear from them again. With BTS, it seems like the news was tracking every move Jin made, and then it left Jin no choice but to talk about it. There was going to be no way Jin would have been able to enlist silently. You can also tell the members are not sad or upset by this news. J-Hope was smiling through it. I think maybe he was also trying not to get emotional. If you show an ounce of emotion and sadness, it will be taken as he doesn't want to enlist or does not want Jin to go. That would be a bad look for him and the other members. I think we will also see some new music come out, and it really won't feel like they're gone at all. I think a lot of the members are getting ready to put out stuff, and there will be plenty of behind the scenes stuff that will drop once BTS is away. We are only starting now to see the behind the scenes of the J-Hope Lollapalooza show. By the way, if you want to watch me react to some of the performances from that show, we fangirl over that on Patreon. I will leave a link below. It's a great time. But anywho, anything that happened after that show will likely drop within the next year or so, and then likely there may only be a few moments where we won't get any BTS content, and then BTS will appear back together again and ready to make music for us. Their turnaround time is also incredible, so they'll have music out fast when they get back. Let me know what you think, and make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.